I first played this a year ago at a convention called GDEX, but it's not the kind of thing that lends itself well to a bright convention hall with a lot of background noise. So here we are with IMMURE, now on Kickstarter and sporting a playable demo. It's made by Wither Studios, who previously made Crowman and Wolfboy, an action platformer successfully funded in a prior crowdfunding campaign. That one was for a modest $4,000 though. Wither Studios is looking to up the ante with IMMURE and is asking for $75,000. I had my doubts going into this because the Kickstarter page lists off several positive quotes from a bunch of YouTubers I've never heard of. And Markiplier, a guy who's easily scared by... Actually, what isn't he easily scared by? IMMURE deliberately keeps the player in the dark, in both senses of the phrase. You play a guy named Will. He encounters something called a trapezohedron, which bonds to him and beckons him to keep pressing onward, though its true nature is unknown. You only see the mansion halls and beyond 2 doors, so my impressions on this are a bit limited by the scope of the roughly 1-hour demo. Gameplay revolves around puzzle solving and stealth, as the mansion is divided up by several different doors leading to different dimensions, each with several different themes. The stealth is for avoiding enemies, namely wraiths, fast, strong, and violent manifestations of souls that are tortured but far from innocent. IMMURE uses a combination of sound and visual cues to give an idea of where enemies are. Just standing still, you can hear footsteps and doors opening and closing in stereo. This ends up going both ways. The wraiths are advertised as working on AI, which reacts to light and sound, and a couple of times I did manage to get its attention by sprinting through hallways or keeping the trapezohedron out. I even wound up luring it to a place the wraith didn't seem to go normally by dicking around with a rather loud keypad. The goal here is to figure out the events which led to these souls becoming wraiths, and then decide whether to save or kill them. Saving a wraith's soul involves giving them mementos, reminders of who they were and the things they loved. Killing a wraith's soul involves forcing it to relive its initial demise. Say a person got drunk on guilt and slit their own throat with a shard of glass. You have to do the same to them. The developers say there are several different endings, and killing wraiths and other various interactions play a role in which ending you eventually get, and how Will behaves, though the demo only gives the faintest glimpse of this. Throughout this, you'll encounter various spirits related to the wraith's former life, trying to convince you to kill or save them. And yes, some will guilt trip you if you don't do what they want. Puzzle solving plays a major role in IMMURE, both by using items in particular locations and figuring out things like passwords from various notes and files. Either way, you'll regularly have to get past a wraith, either by hiding until it leaves, or stunning it with the tetrahedron or a few gunshots before running by it. This requires either charging the tetrahedron or finding bullets, and the tetrahedron can only stun enemies once with each charge. Bullets are scarce, to the point that I didn't hit double digits in ammo, so you do need to carefully plan out how you're moving through areas. Then there's the inventory management. Will can only carry so much stuff, and needs to stay organized when he's carrying too many things, or just drop items and come back for them later. I'd be more down on this, except IMMURE makes use of safe rooms where you can save your progress. In the full game, that feature isn't in the demo. While the sound design is solid and kept me on edge, it seemed like the graphics are still a work in progress, if things like the fire on this wall abruptly ending are any indication. The game even adds hiding spots to certain out-of-the-way areas just to make you think the wraith might stroll through when you're not expecting it. Then there are the souls which aren't wraiths wandering around setting off plenty of false alarms. My concerns with IMMURE are twofold. One is the controls. As someone who uses a keyboard whenever possible, it definitely feels like this game was made for controllers first and foremost. By default, the middle mouse button isn't used, when it could have things assigned to it like toggling equipped weapons or the look commands, which aren't bound to anything. The WASD movement is standard, but other inputs for things like using items, equipping the gun, or bringing up the trapezohedron are T, G, V, C, and F. I get it, T for trapezohedron, G for gun, but keys like Q are much easier to reach. Besides, left and right don't have the letters A and D in them. Then there were little instances of, say, not being able to open a door after examining it until I walked away and tried again. My other concern is related to difficulty when going for different endings. From what I played, it was much easier and faster to kill the Wraith than save it. I'd be worried about either making it too much of a chore to save them, or way too simple to kill them. If this ends up being a case of killing everything being easy mode and saving everything being really hard mode, I'm not sure it's going to be as interesting to the player. I'll probably give the demo a couple more runs, if only because the developers hinted there's something more to find in it. But I'm waiting to hear and see a bit more before deciding whether to back it or not.